Here. I'm going to show you in this video how to use Nearpod, which is a great lesson delivery tool, also a great flipped classroom tool and formative assessment tool. I'm also going to be showing you the student view as we go along. So the first thing you're going to do is go to log in. You're actually not going to sign up. If you get a free account with Nearpod, you're only allowed to have 3 lessons before you have to delete them. So instead we have a premium account that all Burke teachers share. Those credentials are posted to the class page. You're going to log in. And here we are. So we're going to go to My Nearpod. Notice there are folders set up based on who's done which Nearpods. But here's, everybody's. This is my 6th grade one. This is my 11th grade one. If you want to create a folder for yourself, you just hit Create Folder, title it your name or the course if you want to share it with other people. Okay, so we're going to practice creating a lesson, but first I want to show you what Nearpod actually does. So let's go to this adverbs lesson. We have 2 options. If you want to do more of a flipped classroom thing where students do it as a homework assignment, you're going to hit Student Paste. It'll give them, I'm going to do a launch a new one. It'll give them a code that when they go to Nearpod's website, they will plug in. They do not need an account. They do not need to log in or anything. All they need is this code. And then you can choose how long that code will be live for. So you can, make it live for this long, if it's a homework assignment, whenever it's due, right? And then hit apply. And then the students can access that for that amount of time. So that's nice. But what we're going to do right now is if you wanted to access this in class, if you wanted to deliver a lesson, how you would use Nearpod. So we're going to hit Live Lesson. We're going to launch a new live lesson. If you were continuing one you'd started previously, you would pick one of the ones you'd started previously. Okay, so here is the code it generates. You write it on the board or you project it so students can see it. You can also have these options to email it out, to link it, things like that. So I'm going to show you on the student view very quickly. So the students will click on this this icon for Nearpod, and it'll bring them right to the app. This really streamlines it for you, makes it very easy. They will type in that same lesson code, I'm having trouble talking, that you just saw. They'll hit join. Again, they are not going to log in or anything. This is all they have to do. And look, they are prompted to put in their name. With middle schoolers and high schoolers alike, you have to be very careful to tell them to put in their real name. And then they're going to hit join session. So look, this is what the student sees. The student sees the opening title of the lesson. If they hit this little arrow, it reminds them of the code again, they can exit. So what I'm going to do is X out. This is the teacher view. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you see green. It's green and it says 1. That's because there is 1 student in this class and all of our students are in Nearpod. I can click and there they are. But let's say I'm being bad on my iPad and I get out of it and I go instead to some other app. If we look back at the teacher view, the students has turned red. So normally this will say like 15 or 14 at the bottom, right? If 1 student goes off of the app, this will turn red and you know they are not where they're supposed to be. You can click on it and there will be a red dot next to the student who is not on task. So that's pretty cool in and of itself. So I'm going to go back to Nearpod now. Another thing that's cool is no matter how hard I try to swipe, I can't. The student has to stay paced as the teacher is paced. So that's pretty neat. Okay. I can also use this thing at the bottom to jump to different slides, which is pretty nice if I wanted to do that. So I'm going to click next on the activity, and what it does is on the student slide, it goes next to the next one as well without them even touching it. It is entirely teacher paced. This is especially great for students that have trouble seeing the board or who have trouble taking notes quickly so they can take screenshots, things like that. So if I were to go through the lesson with them, I'd go through these different examples. So when I come to this slide, this is a quiz that I have inserted into the slideshow. This is really the power of Nearpod, is you can input little check-ins, little practices, little activities throughout your slides. So let's look over to the student view really quickly. This is what pops up for them, is this question. Sadly, she walked to her house. If I hit, and I would have told the students to identify the adverbs, right? So they're going to select an answer, they're going to hit next. What I see on my screen, if you look back to that, is the progress. So it shows me what question Sarah Schreiber is on, and it color codes it based on whether I'm getting the answers correct or not. So that is very cool. Also, when I click on it, I can see the question. So if I wanted to go through it, I could. Oops. Let's look back to student view. So I've answered that. I'm going to have her answer all of these, and we'll see what happens. All right. So they've done this little check-in. They have the option to edit their answers if they want. If I look on my screen now, I have it color-coded how well they did. The student did not do very well. I also have a class view. So this can tell me right away. So this will, when I have more students, this will tell me all of the correct and incorrect answers. And it'll show me this little pie graph. If it is red and green like this, that tells me I probably should go back and reteach this. I shouldn't even move on, right? So it can be a really powerful check-in and formative assessment in that way, and that right off the bat, you know whether or not the students understand the concept. When I hit this share button, I'll show you what happens on the screen. If we look back at the student view, they see how they did. So this shows what answers they got correct, what answers they got incorrect. When they hit my answers, they see what they did right and wrong. So they get instant feedback. So that's pretty powerful, right? Right away, students know how well they understand a skill. And that's what's really cool about this app, is that you can pre-program it to grade these for you right on the spot. So another cool option is you can have this open-ended question. So my open-ended question is, write a sentence with an adverb that describes a verb. So I might say something like, she quickly walked to school. When I'm done, I'm going to hit submit on the bottom. Oops, acceptable. I'm going to edit my answer. That's what's also nice about giving students the option to edit. Now if I look on my screen, I can see that answer there. It looks like the edit didn't upload yet. But, oh, there it is. Okay, so if I had more students, I would see all of their names right here having answered it. So one thing that's really cool about this is, oh, here's a great example here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit share. Let's look back at student view, and what I'm going to see is that's going to pop up on every student's screen. So if you find a student who has a really good example, now you can share it with all of them. This is especially fun because one of the activities you can insert is draw. So you could have a student draw their version of an adverb, and then if you find a really good drawing, you can share it with everyone. And that's pretty neat. And that's pretty much it for the basic power of Nearpod. It'll ask if you want to leave it. You can resume it later, so if you don't finish it, that doesn't mean you have to start all over. That can be very nice. So let's say, okay, so that's happened. You can always go back and edit or preview your lessons. You can duplicate it. You can export it as a PDF. One thing that's very cool also is you can get reports. So all that means is the answers that the students gave you can have sent to you, or you can look at them if you want, right? So I could take a look at this session that I just did, and I can look at all of the answers and who did what. So that's very powerful also.
So that's pretty much it for the basic power of Nearpod and what it can do, what it looks like for students, and what it looks like for teachers. For the next video, I'm going to show you how to create your own Nearpod.